Welcome to this explainer. Look, let's just jump right in because today we're tackling a massive, honestly kind of hidden governance gap in AI deployments. Businesses everywhere are sprinting to plug their shiny new AI agents into their most vital core systems. We're talking about your CRM, the company inbox, your calendar, centralized document stores, the whole shebang. But beneath this incredible leap in operational efficiency, a huge operational gap is quietly forming. To fix it, we absolutely have to strictly separate two concepts that businesses routinely and, quite frankly, dangerously conflate. And those are system access versus operational permission.
There's this really chilling reality echoing through IT departments right now. Think about it. We gave the agent the keys, but nobody actually decided which doors it was allowed to open. See, technically connecting an AI agent to a system, that's straightforward. Handing over an API key or setting up a login, that's literally just giving the agent the keys to the building. But deciding which specific records that agent is allowed to view, which actions it can take completely unsupervised, what tasks need human approval first, or when its access expires and exactly who has the authority to pull the plug, that is a totally different problem. That's deciding which doors it can open. And way too often, that second problem just doesn't get solved before the agent actually goes live. So the line between these two concepts is absolute. You've got system access on one hand and permission on the other. System access is merely a technical connection. It's a technical fact. It just means, yep, the agent is successfully plugged into your CRM or your inbox. Permission, though, permission is a governance decision. And here's the kicker. Way too many implementations settle that technical connection without ever making the governance decision. Both of these facts can exist at the exact same time in your systems today. Access is fully granted, but permission was never actually designed. And because the agent is functioning perfectly from a technical standpoint, nobody even notices this massive governance gap. Well, until the agent does something the business never actually authorized.
To understand just how urgent this gap really is, we just have to look at the ground reality. Take the Okta 2026 Buyers Survey of IT and Security Leaders. The anxieties here are off the charts. 83% of them flag data leakage as a top concern with AI agents. And right behind that, 80% are worrying about overprivileged access. Now, these aren't just security scare stories. These are composed, authoritative operations and security leaders recognizing that AI adoption is vastly outpacing the controls meant to govern it. They know for a fact their agents are being handed broad access without carefully designed boundaries.
But here's where the exposure truly lies. While concern is hovering way up in the 80th percentile, there was a staggering drop in confidence. Only 27%, just 27% of those same IT and security leaders believe their current identity systems are fully equipped to govern non-human identities at scale. I mean, that single number represents the gap perfectly, doesn't it? The concern is exceptionally high, but the confidence in the existing control infrastructure is incredibly low. And look, simply naming the exposure is not the same thing as addressing it. Having concern without having control, that isn't caution, that is standing exposure. The adoption of AI agents is moving so fast that organizations see the risk, sure, but they haven't actually built the governance layer necessary to handle it.
So how does this exposure actually play out in the real world? It usually happens through three distinct pipeline failures. Number one, confusing access with permission. This is where the API key gets handed over way before the rules are ever written. Number two, no approval layer for consequential actions. Basically, if an agent tries to say issue a financial refund or send an email to an external client, it either can't do it at all, which totally limits its value, or it does it entirely unsupervised, which creates immense risk. And number three, no revocation plan. Access granted during a quick pilot phase often just stays live indefinitely, mostly because switching it off was never assigned to anyone. Permissions that don't expire turn a neatly contained experiment into a standing liability.
All right, so what does the properly governed workflow actually look like? It requires permission boundaries to be designed in before autonomy expands. First up, this means enforcing least privilege access. The agent is scoped strictly to what its specific task actually requires, no more, no less. It also means establishing clear approval paths for those higher-risk actions we just talked about. It involves defining strict expiry on all temporary access, and finally, naming a specific owner in the business who has the actual power to revoke that access on super short notice. And the absolutely crucial point here is this. None of these boundaries slow the AI agent down on the work it was built to do. It just ensures the business made the access decision on purpose rather than discovering it by accident. Well-designed boundaries keep the impact contained.
So how do you actually achieve this state of good governance? Honestly, it's through strategic partnership. This is where Omnisenti comes in. They design the operational permission model around AI agents.
They aren't just another specialist identity vendor coming in to bolt controls on after an incident has already happened. No, they act as a strategic partner at the very beginning. They design that exact operational model we just covered, the least privilege access, the approval paths, the expires, the revocation protocols, and then they work directly with your existing technical and security teams to translate that model into active, working access controls before the agent's autonomy ever expands. Governance designed in from the start is always vastly more effective and honestly cheaper than governance that arrives after something goes wrong.
Which brings us to the single most important takeaway from this entire explainer. Access is a technical fact. Permission is a decision. Right now, far too many AI agent implementations are settling that first technical fact without ever taking the time to make that second governance decision. And if your business is in that position, you're exposed. You can simply reply access to start a strategic conversation about the boundaries of your current or planned AI agents today. Because at the end of the day, you really have to ask yourself, you gave your AI agent access to your entire business, but did you ever actually decide what it's allowed to do with it?